Oh man, it's that time of the year again. Apple's just released its new lineup of products and people are going nuts for their phones, even despite the hefty price tags they carry. Today, ladies and gents, we're going to be focusing on the new Apple lineup of phones and see what Apple has to bring to the table this year, and if it's actually worth the new and improved price tag they are boasting. Alright, so in their smartphone lineup, you have the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max, the latest and greatest Apple has to offer. And looking at the Pro on their website, Apple has decided to use the tagline, "It's a leap year." Yeah, well, with that price, I would rather leap off a cliff. But continuing onwards, 5G seems to be the name of the game. Or at least that's what was exhaustingly repeated through their keynote.
Today, we're bringing 5G to iPhone. 5G, 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 5G.
Now moving on to the price, well, this honestly should be the headlining feature, and the tagline should be "stealing your money since 2017." I mean, now it's obviously not fair to say that Apple's the only one committing this heinous crime against humanity, but we live in a crazy time where the price of bleeding edge flagships are seemingly crossing over into the mobile workstation realm. I mean, for example, the price of a Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra or iPhone 12 Pro Max, you could easily get an Asus ZenBook 14-inch, which is arguably more bang for buck in terms of productivity. But this is just the world we live in. Moving on, we get to see their new design, which I personally like, and it honestly feels really solid in the hand. Now, the throwback to the iPhone 4 and 5 is actually a pretty good move in my opinion. The boxier design of the new iPhones and iPads really go into a different direction to what other manufacturers are doing. And this distinguishable design is really the main feature Apple has going for it this year. Let's move on to the ceramic shield that they were also boasting. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I mean, glass is glass, and by now we should all know that glass scratches at a level 6 with deeper grooves at level 7. Now this surgical grade stainless steel is nice, but still a fingerprint magnet. And as far as water resistance goes, IP68 water resistant isn't exactly industry leading, as they'd have you lead on. Other phones have had it for many years now. Now, when it comes to color variety, in the Pro Max lineup, I will say that the new Deep Ocean Blue, or is it Deep Pacific Blue? I don't know, whatever. I think that the blue color is actually arguably the best color in this year's lineup, and which is kind of a shame because I was really rooting for the product red, which isn't exactly red though. I don't know how Apple could have messed that up, but yeah. Continuing onwards, again, 5G. 5G this, 5G that. We get it already, Apple. Jeez.
5G, 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 5G.
Now, when it comes to the actual specs though, I will say that the 5nm A14 Bionic chip is quite impressive and shows that Apple has really worked hard on this aspect of the phone. Speed tests show a pretty decent increase in performance over the older phones. But the crown jewel of all the features that the new iPhones have is actually the LiDAR technology that Apple has decided to implement in their phones. Now this is nothing new. We've seen this tech debut on the iPad Pros. Now this sensor is capable of creating a three-dimensional model of things you pointed towards, and it also helps in improving portrait pictures with the bokeh effect, and comes in handy when viewing augmented reality apps. Now because LiDAR can work in the dark by shooting lasers to calculate distances and working its magic, Apple's using it to improve the autofocus on the high-end iPhones. Apple's also claimed that because of the sensor, the new iPhone 12 Pro phones have 6 times faster autofocus in low light as compared to a normal camera. Yet, I'm a bit skeptical because this has to be thoroughly tested. Now, one of the iPhone 12's more exciting features is the new and improved camera system. Now, one of the main features is its ability to record video in 10-bit Dolby Vision HDR, which is also known as high dynamic range. Now, what is this? Well, this will give the videos recorded on the new iPhones a broader palette of colors to work with and greater ranges of light and dark. Now, the new iPhone 12 lineup is the first set of phones that supports recording directly in Dolby Vision. Now, why is this so great and what does this mean? Well, for cinematography hobbyists, it would be a real dream come true because Shooting 4K footage at 60 frames per second with Dolby Vision HDR enabled is absolutely mind-blowing. Like, it's just no contest. Now you must be thinking, well, this phone must be pretty great, right? Like, the best ever. And well, that's where you're kind of wrong. Because let's talk about the price tag. So as you can see, the base model, I guess, starting off from the iPhone 12 Pro is $18.99 NZ. This is out here in New Zealand. And this is crazy. I mean, I know Apple's not the only one doing this. Obviously, other manufacturers, even Samsung, the S20 Ultras and the Notes, they're all coming to be around this, at this price point. And I think it's kind of just getting ridiculous at this point. I know, obviously, they spend a lot on advertising, marketing, and all this kind of stuff, but this is getting to a point where you could buy a decently spec'd out laptop at this price point. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that back in the old days, there was, the difference between price between a laptop, let's say, and a phone was a lot more distinguishable. You paid more for a laptop because you got more for a laptop. And I understand that there is quite a bit of advancement in terms of phones, right? Phones have come a long way, but is the price increase that justifiable? Where it's gone to a point where the actual price difference is very little between a phone and a laptop. And I guess, there's always a pressure to, keep up with the latest technology, but, it makes more sense to buy a laptop for that kind of money as opposed to a phone. But I guess if everybody's doing it and everybody's buying a phone, you feel more pressure to drop $1,900 on a new phone. And I don't know if that's the way we should be going. But that's just how it is, I guess. Now, I'd also like to address the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant that's not in the box. If that makes sense. But, let's talk about the charger and that whole issue that's surrounding, Apple's claim that by not including a charger, they're able to reduce their emissions and the carbon footprint and all that stuff. Now, I did some actual research into this because I wanted to see how legitimate their claim really was. And it turns out, yeah, alright, they are reducing their emissions and their carbon footprint by using a smaller box and shipping those out. I'll agree with them on that. But this is where things get a lot more stupid though, because by selling their chargers individually with individual packaging and then shipping those out, they're not exactly fixing the problem they sought out to. So in that sense, they've not really fixed the issue. They've kind of just essentially diverting the problem and making a quick buck in the process. Now you're probably all thinking, wait a minute, this guy must really hate Apple. And that's definitely, I can assure you, that's definitely not the case. I'm trying to look at this as objectively as possible, but it's obviously kind of hard to, especially with these kind of stupid decisions that Apple's making. And it's not like I hate Apple because I've actually purchased their products in the past. I actually purchased an iPhone X and used it as a daily driver. I've also got the first generation AirPods as well as the AirPods Pro. I've also made a review on that. I'll leave a link below if you want to check that out. So I'm by no means an Apple hater, but I'm also not an Apple fanboy, which is why I'm going to try and keep it real. Remove the charger, selling it separately, whatever, but don't try and justify it by, becoming a eco warrior, because that just won't fly. Now, overall, despite Apple's, despite the lack of the charger and this crazy increased price, I am kind of interested and excited to see where Apple takes, their new lineup of phones, especially with the Dolby HDR, that stuff is really interesting. And I think, but like I said, for the average consumer, I think the iPhone 12 and even the iPhone 12 mini, I guess would be kind of the go-to. It's at I'd say a decent price point. It won't break your bank too hard, and it will give you most of the features that the new Apple lineup provides. Now, if you are an enthusiast, then yeah, you're definitely going to go for the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max, which is going to come out later. And that's fine. Overall, you know what? I like the new design for the Apple phones. I'm not too happy with the charger situation and all that MagSafe crap. I know I haven't really talked about it because I don't think it's actually worth mentioning at all. At this stage, it's purely just a gimmick. And yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on the new lineup of Apple phones. And that pretty much concludes this video. Thank you for watching, ladies and gents. I'll catch you in the next one.